The man raised the 2 tentacles on his head, forming a heart. He frantically showered the girl with affection. And this tentacled creature was actually her husband, a man she had no memory of. After all, she had lost her memories. Why was she still so calm? Because in everyone else's eyes, this man was a breathtakingly handsome dreamboat. When she first woke up, she even tried calling the nurse for help. But the nurse was instantly bewitched by him. Oh my God, is that face from a superstar? The nurse's eyes were filled with obsession. No matter what the girl said, there was no response. After realizing the nurse's state wasn't normal, the girl went to her attending doctor. Doctor, there's a monster in my room. But the conclusion she got was that her head injury had caused visual problems. Only in her eyes did her husband appear as a monster. It wasn't until she looked at the photo she had just taken on her phone that she was forced to admit the man really was an ordinary person. Shockingly handsome even with those tentacles on his head, she could still see the shyness in him. Darling, what is it you want to know? The girl cautiously asked. Why did you even marry me? Was it because I threatened you? To her surprise, the man's tentacles trembled, his tone half amused, half incredulous. What? You threatening me? If anything, it's the other way around. I've been chasing after you for so long. Begging you to just look at me, pleading for you to answer me, desperate to take you on a date. I tried every trick I could to lure you, to tempt you, until I finally won your heart. And then, we got married. If not for the bizarre mass of tentacles, he might have even looked adorable in that moment. But then his tone shifted. You said I look like a monster. Can you tell me exactly what you see? The girl began describing. Above the neck, things aren't normal, but the body is human. Be more specific. From the neck up, how many tentacles? About 12. All different in length and thickness. The girl found it strange and asked, why do you need it so detailed? But she still answered truthfully. They're all different. Some are as thin as fingers, others thicker than my wrist. It feels like they're stretching in from some other space, and maybe there are even more inside. The man pressed further. So, which one do you think looks the best? Though reluctant, the girl still picked the one that seemed least disturbing. Maybe the white one. It looks kind of suited for cleaning. The moment those words left her mouth, his head slammed against the bed with a loud thud. This time she was sure he was laughing. He lifted the white, fuzzy-tipped tentacle and made another heart. How could you think of using a monster's tentacle for house cleaning? As expected, I can never escape your charm. If it were a normal couple, that line might have been heart-melting. But the girl, staring at this grotesque mass before her, thought not running away on the spot was already an achievement. All she could do was silently pray her condition would get better soon. Please don't let it stay this way forever. That night, she had a bizarre dream. The sky was filled with eerie colors, pressing down closer and closer to the ground. Buildings crumbled under its crushing weight. Just when she thought the world was about to end, a desperate voice rang out, "I love, don't." A hand appeared in the air, compressing all those twisted colors into a single sphere. And the one doing it was her unfamiliar husband, his face no longer covered in tentacles. As the sphere vanished, the world returned to normal. The man smiled at her. Didn't we promise to live happily together forever? The girl jolted awake, shaken by how strange the dream was. Yet the man's face in that dream was undeniably handsome, far more breathtaking than in any photo. Realizing she couldn't fall back asleep, she pulled out her phone and started searching about her condition. To her surprise, she found a match. Capgras syndrome, a rare psychiatric disorder, where patients believe their loved ones have been replaced by identical imposters, often linked to brain injury. The symptoms were exactly the same as hers. She couldn't help but wonder, what part of her brain was broken that seeing her own husband filled her with fear? Still, the internet said it was usually temporary. Maybe once she saw her husband again, it would go away. The next day, she did get a surprise. Oh, more like a shock. Her husband showed up with a massive blue planet for a head. "Darling, how are you feeling today? Do I still look like some kind of tentacle monster to you?" The girl was on the verge of tears. Where his face should have been, there was a planet. She was so stunned she couldn't form a single sentence. The man held back a laugh and said softly, "Darling, just talk to me the way you usually do." But she had lost her memories. What usual was there? As she was puzzling over it, he suddenly started cursing. Back then you probably cursed me out like this all the time. I in the whole universe. You're the only one who'd dare talk to me like that. Why? Did you destroy everyone else who tried? The man went silent, letting out a faint hum from his throat. She hadn't caught it, so she teased, "What's wrong? Why so quiet?" He stroked his chin and muttered, "Maybe. If anyone else ever dared to." The moment he finished, his head shifted, turning bright green. Curiosity got the better of her. "Can I touch your face?" He gently guided her hand to his cheek. Thankfully, it still felt like human skin. Only then did the girl fully accept it. Her brain must really be broken. In the next second, the planet turned pink. Even through her phone's camera, his cheeks glowed with a faint blush. "So this is how I look to you, like a cat being spoiled by its master. Not bad, right? I'm glad you like my face. Why are you saying such weird things again?" The girl suddenly realized she didn't even know her husband's name. "May I ask, what's your name?" But the moment he opened his mouth, a sharp pain stabbed through her brain. Sorry, could you repeat that?" "My name is John." He stepped back half a pace. "You can be discharged today." She instantly worried. How would she pay the hospital bills after losing her memory? But he pulled out a black card. "Money. Don't worry about it." Seeing her relax, the man chuckled. "So happy over that? Well, you'll get tired of it eventually." The girl froze. His voice was still gentle. Yet for some reason his head turned black again. Was he in a bad mood? Well, it made sense, they weren't that close yet. But as husband and wife, surely they'd grow intimate again with time. Then suddenly his head flared into a fiery red, his tone light-hearted. "That's right, we're married." Soon they arrived at their home. John cheerfully introduced it. "This is the place where we'll live happily together from now on." She still couldn't believe it. Standing beside her was a man with a flawless physique. Even his hands were so perfect they seemed untouchable. And this man was actually her husband. "You can't just stare at me like that, you know?" "What?" The girl bristled. Why couldn't she look at her own man? He added with a smirk, "You're not thinking about, doing that with a planet, are you?" "Wait. No way. Does that mean we actually did before?" John's voice carried a teasing laugh. "How funny. All those dirty thoughts are written right across your face." "What? That's slander. I never." She spoke too fast, and the planet's halo suddenly flickered into countless question marks. "I'll support you no matter what you do, but rapping really doesn't suit you. Your lungs just aren't built for it." "And how would you know that? When things get too deep, you're always out of breath." The girl was stunned. What the hell is this guy even talking about? "Darling, where did your mind just go?" John chuckled. "I meant kissing. You always say when it gets too deep you can't breathe." She nearly exploded. He was definitely doing this on purpose. "Well, since there's nothing showing on your face right now, what else could you possibly do?" The man suddenly leaned in. "Want me to prove it? Even if you can't see it, your body can still feel it, right?" "Wait, no way." She wasn't about to give her first kiss to Aplanet. No, that wasn't right. Even if they were married, she couldn't remember a thing. Not just mentally, his appearance alone was a huge obstacle. Suddenly, the planet froze, its rings ceasing to spin. He lifted her chin and asked softly, "Darling, if our intimacy grows deep enough, but in your eyes I still look like this, what would you do?" A chill of danger ran through her. What else could she do? Worst case, just close my eyes. His touch still feels human after all. That answer clearly pleased him. His head turned fiery red again. Surely that meant he was happy. But then the girl suddenly turned to the side. "What's that?" John countered. "What do you think it looks like? Isn't that a cat?" "Hear that? You're a cat." The cat nodded furiously in response. The girl froze. "Wait, it understands human speech. Is it really smart, or did we raise it together?" "Sort of. But if it suddenly disappears, don't be surprised. It hates sunlight. You won't usually see it during the day." John then led her around to tour the rooms. The place was even more extravagant than she had imagined, overflowing with luxury brands. But when the girl glanced at a nearby mirror, she suddenly grew curious. What would her husband look like in the reflection? Would he still appear as a planet? The next second, her expression froze, because there was nothing in the mirror. A chill ran through her. Could her brain even ignore mirror reflections? The side effects were terrifying. To prove himself, John pulled out an old high school photo. That was when she realized they had gone to the same school. John had been her senior 2 years above her. Yet she had no memory of him at all. Sorry, I forgot. Don't apologize. You never used to talk to me like this. Even cursing me was normal back then. But, aren't you 2 years older than me? He paused, then admitted, back then I really was too harsh on you. After a brief silence he added, how I regret it. His planetary head darkened once again. The girl thought, I don't know what happened in the past, but since we're married now it must have been something I could live with. Right? Then promise me you won't bully me again. As she reached out her hand, the planet turned blue once more. With his laughter, it shifted again, this time into a dazzling yellow-green. Alright, Pinky swear.at first it was kind of fun. But later it wasn't like that anymore. He was speaking in riddles again. Anyway, even if you begged me to bully you now, I probably couldn't do it. So, were we dating back then? No, you hated me and I didn't realize I liked you either. Then how did we end up married? Because later on, I finally realized my feelings. And why did I hate you? Well, he left the question unanswered. In the end, you still fell for me. A wave of discomfort washed over her. It felt as if he was dismissing her thoughts entirely. Forget it. How much could he really know anyway? Feelings were something only the person themselves could truly understand. But strangely, her memories clashed with what her husband was saying. According to him, she had graduated from a prestigious university and then joined his company. Yet in her own recollection, she had only graduated from an ordinary school, working a draining job under a terrible boss for pitiful pay. Your memories must be confused. As he handed her an employment application form, she was left in a daze. Could it be that all those miserable experiences, all those nights she cried herself to sleep, were fake? Impossible. Then, who was she really? Just then, her husband suddenly pulled her into his arms. It's all right that I remember everything about you. If there's anything you don't know, just ask me. Stop overthinking. Her emotions slowly settled. So this is what it feels like to be saved? After a long while, she realized this position felt a little awkward. At that moment, John loosened his embrace. Feeling better now? The girl nodded. Suddenly, she asked, where's your cufflink? The round, shiny one. I took it off earlier when I went to the study to grab some files. But I didn't expect you'd actually remember its shape. When she woke up, she saw the cat standing at the head of her bed. She tried calling it, but the cat only stared at her. Yet the moment John called, it immediately reacted. Be polite. John's voice echoed. And with a thud, the cat fell right off the bed. You're up already? The girl answered softly. Are you going out? No, aside from taking you to the hospital today, I've got no other plans. By the way, what do I look like today? She had thought tentacles and planets were already surreal enough. But flowers blooming in place of a head was even more unsettling. She quickly grabbed her phone. Click, snapped a picture. Only then did she feel at ease. And in that photo, his looks were completely her type. The man suddenly pressed down on her phone. Darling, don't just like the version of me on the screen. Try to love the real me too, okay? But without facial features, something felt unbearably wrong. And if headed hay features, wouldn't that be even scarier? Just imagining it made her shudder. The flower-headed figure kept chattering non-stop, even sticking out its tongue begging for a kiss. Enough, she'd rather deal with the tentacles. Wait, did you come this early just so I could see what you look like today? He took her hand and pressed it against his cheek. Compared to before, this is already better. So please, be a little kinder to me. His appearance left her utterly at a loss. I'll try my best. By the way, did you sleep well last night? When you're not beside me, everything feels so empty. The reason they had drifted apart was his reckless mouth. When she merely remarked, there are so many rooms here, he quipped. Isn't it boring to sleep in the same bed every night? That instantly set her off. Honestly, sometimes you wanted to sleep apart too. You thought I was annoying, but you were always too tired, and in the end you still fell asleep beside me. Wait, was she really so exhausted she couldn't even make it to another room? Maybe I should start working out. To her shock, the man looked delighted. If you did that, I'd be grateful. Grateful my ass. Flustered, she cleared her throat. Where's San? I wanted to hug it again. John sat down. I don't recommend holding it, you might get scared. Weird. What's so scary about hugging a cat? And if San doesn't listen to you, just let me know. With that, he turned to make breakfast. Get changed and come out when you're ready. Oh, and this is today's good morning kiss. Tomorrow I'll kiss you somewhere else. So be prepared. Damn it, she felt like she was being bewitched again. But wait, why did she smell flowers? Weren't the blooms on his head supposed to be just an illusion? That was entirely possible. The doctor had told her that even smelling floral scents could be normal, and advised her to keep observing for a while. The flowers atop John's head looked even more vibrant now, and thankfully nothing seemed wrong. Darling, are you tired? If not, will you keep me company? She then met John's secretary, Nia. They had crossed paths briefly on the day she was discharged. John hadn't wanted to drive, so he had called Nia over. Darling, if you keep staring at another man, I'll get jealous. Nia looked rather odd, though he obeyed John's orders. He wore a constant scowl. You mean Nia? He's just an errand boy. Don't mind him. John pulled her tightly into his arms. He kissed her hair softly. Here, the only one who matters to me is you. The girl furrowed her brows, a pang of guilt rising in her chest. Could it be that his parents were no longer alive? But they had agreed to just watch a movie. Instead, he pulled her into his arms, kissing her over and over. Why are you doing this? She asked. We've always been like this. It's like when you see a cute little animal, you give it a kiss, don't you? Even he sounded so matter-of-fact about it. For the rest of the movie, she stayed tense, bracing herself in case he tried to push things further. Thankfully, it never went beyond kissing. She stretched with a weary yawn. What's wrong? He asked. Nothing, just stiff from sitting too long. You're so frail. How did you even manage before? Let me help you relax. She did as told, lying face down on the couch, though unease gnawed at her inside. John's hand pressed gently onto her shoulder. Here? Both my shoulder and back hurt a little. Got it. But the moment his palm pressed down on her shoulder, a sharp pain shot through her. His hand froze in midair. In a low voice, he said, Looks like this really is a problem. The girl trembled, lying face down on the couch. How could it hurt this much? Was the strength gap between men and women really that big? Yet when his hand came down again, it was unbelievably gentle, and the pain vanished instantly. Still, that first press left her shaken with lingering fear. She grabbed the leg of his pants with one hand. Can you kiss me a little more? Seeing her timid expression, he froze for a few seconds. Why is she always this cute? Cute enough to trouble me? Darling, if you act like that, it'll make me want to bully you again. But you just made me promise yesterday not to. Oh, right, I did make you promise. This time I'll be gentle, just a massage. How does it feel now? The girl lifted her head. That's better. He let out a sigh of relief. I'll have to be more careful from now on. You're even more delicate than I imagined. I'm afraid if I don't control my strength, something bad might happen. As if, like he could actually break her. Still, just to be safe. You haven't ever been arrested for hurting someone before, have you? John froze for a moment, then suddenly burst into laughter. Relax, I don't have a criminal record. Honestly, sometimes I just want to crack open your head and see what's inside. Keep dreaming. I'm planning to live a healthy, disaster-free middle-length life. Middle-length? Why that? I don't want to live too long, but I don't want to die too young either. I just want it to be just right. The flowers on his head suddenly began to wilt. So neither short-lived nor long-lived, but stuck in the middle. If I pass first and you're still alive, then I'll let you open it and see. She grinned slyly. If you want the answer, you'll have to outlive me. The moment she finished speaking, all the flowers on his head withered. Stop talking, darling. I feel strange inside. I was joking. Did I hurt your feelings? I take it back. My head is precious, you know. She thought to herself. Maybe this man was more sensitive than she had realized. Suddenly he asked, if you could live forever, never aging, never dying, would you still choose that middle-length life? Well, staying young forever does sound nice. But immortality? No thanks. Even if my body didn't age, my mind couldn't take it. I don't have any grand ambitions. I'd go insane from boredom. I bet most people would. Is that so? Still, Maybe your mental strength is greater than you think. Ever since she had moved in, it was always her husband who cooked. She leaned closer. Next time, let me do it. But he refused. Patience should rest. I really can. And I'm good at cooking. What? Do you think I'm saying your food isn't tasty? It wasn't that it was bad, his cooking lacked the warmth of a mother's meal and the homely feel of a restaurant. More like something manufactured with strict precision from a master's recipe. Mr. John, do you not really like food? I wouldn't say I like it or dislike it. For me, it's not necessary. No wonder. His dishes had no soul in them. John, however, looked puzzled in his mind. If the technique was flawless, then even soulless food should be good enough to pass for the real thing. She absent-mindedly picked at her food. When she glanced out the window, her whole body froze. A grotesque monster was clinging to the glass. Her spoon slipped from her hand and hit the floor with a sharp clatter. Terrified, she pointed at the window. Here. What is that? John immediately gripped her shoulders. Darling, look at me. What do you see on the window? It's like a fish monster, huge. But its body looks human. Don't be afraid. Take a deep breath and look again. She obeyed, turning back toward the window, and saw nothing at all. John added, We live on the top floor of this apartment. Could it be a hallucination? Maybe a side effect from your fall? That monster, we just saw it in that movie a few days ago. Doesn't it look the same? Maybe your subconscious held on to it. When you were a kid, after watching horror movies, didn't you run to your parents' bedroom in the middle of the night, claiming you saw monsters? I even told you about that. Yes, you did. That night, she tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Finally, she looked up the movie and found it was adapted from a Lovecraft novel. The main creature was one of the monsters from the Cthulhu mythos. Seriously, how old was she now? Still getting spooked by movies. She got up to clear her head in the living room, only to find John still awake. The blue flowers on his head instantly flushed pink when he saw her. Darling, did you come to me because you were scared? She suddenly grew irritated. If you're busy, forget it. If not, then don't leave. Truth be told, even now her husband still felt like a stranger, which made the atmosphere all the more awkward. Suddenly, he reached out and brushed through her hair. It's messy. Let me braid it again for you. She whispered a thank you, though inside she only felt more uneasy. Was it because this was her first time being this close to a man? In the past, she hadn't intentionally kept her distance. Life had just been too exhausting, and there was that bastard. Wait, what was that? Something didn't feel right. Hadn't her life always been calm and uneventful? Even when she first woke up in the hospital, her very first thought had been, finally, something dramatic is happening in my life. Darling, why do you look so serious? What are you thinking about? I'm not. But to him, her face looked as grim as if the world were ending. No matter how much you worry, the world won't just be destroyed, right? Why not? The world could end because of you. If that were true, she would feel horribly guilty. That can't happen. Do you want to leave me all alone? Suddenly, he grabbed her hand and lay down, pulling her with him. Will you rest here with me? In a daze, she thought she glimpsed his true human face. But in the next blink, it was a flower again. With her memory gone, she still couldn't figure out how she had ever gotten involved with someone like this. He was handsome, capable, endlessly considerate, like something out of a dream too perfect to be real. For the past few days, her husband had stayed by her side. The girl couldn't help asking, Is it really okay for you not to go to the office? Don't worry, it's the era of working from home now. Just as drowsiness began to wash over her, the man suddenly spoke. Are you going to sleep here? Just like this, holding hands. She hesitated, then gave a small nod. But sleep never came. Was it simply because someone was lying beside her? The moment she turned over, he followed and pulled her into his arms. Careful, don't fall off. Great, now she was wide awake. Warmth pressed in from behind, holding her close. Her eyes flew wide open. What on earth was happening? What on earth was he doing? Inside, the girl wrestled with herself. Should she keep pretending to be asleep? Suddenly, a loud voice rang right by her ear. She gasped sharply. Darling, are you asleep? Flustered, she squeezed her eyes shut tighter. But he, clearly on purpose, added, Really asleep? Perfect. Then he pulled down the blanket and reached to tickle her waist. She bolted upright with a yelp. Mr. John. The man burst into laughter again. This time she was genuinely angry. I'm going back to sleep alone. Come back, I promise I won't do anything this time. I don't believe you. Then how can I make you trust me? You promised we'd only hold hands. And I did hold your hand until you fell asleep. His shamelessness made her face dark with fury. Hugging her pillow, she stormed off. Are you really going to leave? She puffed her cheeks in anger. Do you really take me for a fool? You already tricked me once. If I agreed to hold hands, you'd keep at it until I woke up. No way. Good night. John watched her back and quietly murmured, good night. The next morning, her husband had changed again, this time into a cardboard box. She leaned in to inspect it and the man lifted his head. What are you doing? There's a hole in the front. I'm peeking inside. So today I look like a box? Don't you want to open it? You seem curious. She was curious, but she didn't want to open it. Maybe it was Schrodinger's cat. But what if it wasn't? What if it was Pandora's box instead? What would she do then? Aren't you going to open it? No, what if it's a jack in the box? I might faint on the spot. I don't want to uncover truths I can't handle. Some things are meant to stay secret forever. Her husband gave a low hum of agreement. He suddenly leaned in, but she blocked him. Don't sneak up on me. Because of last night, you don't trust me anymore. To make up for it, I brought you something. It was a mat printed with cartoon patterns. The girl frowned. What is this? It's the thing you saw yesterday. The more I thought about it, the angrier I dared to scare my darling, so I caught it and stuffed it in here. You can step on it, wipe your feet on it, whatever you like. She stared at the mat, hesitation flickering in her eyes. But remembering he had prepared it for her first thing in the morning, she stepped down on it anyway. Thinking about how she had been frightened all night, she pressed harder and harder, venting her fear like anger. The cat at the side puffed up instantly. Its expression was downright pitiful. John burst out laughing again while the cat covered its face in fright. Sorry, Sandra, I shouldn't have let you see that. I'm not usually like this. The moment she moved closer, the cat bolted. Stop laughing already. You'll end up with abs at this rate. I already have them. Well, that's impressive. The man suddenly lifted the hem of his shirt. Want to see? Her face flushed bright. No way. He had to maintain some dignity. I'm not curious at all. Really? Your eyes are practically screaming with desire. Stop teasing me. What do you take me for? Too bad, the reveal will have to wait until next time. Seeing her still staring, he added, Darling, if you want to look, just say it, it's fine. No. He sighed. All right then, I'll go make breakfast. She said she didn't want to look, but inside she still felt a little regret. With her foot, she nudged the mat back into place. Really, just walking away like that? Today's breakfast was pancakes and the girl gasped. They're perfect circles. She teased. What are you, the human incarnation of a compass? How could I be? That would scare you. Did I already tell you about that too? I told you I know everything about you. Come to think of it, you've been the one cooking all along. There used to be staff for housework, but I was afraid you'd feel anxious around strangers, so I do it myself now. When we go out, someone else comes to clean. But don't you have work? Isn't this unnecessary? I just want time alone with you, even that's not allowed? How long are we talking? About 100 years. She nearly choked. Was he insane? What about your company? Just a decorative identity, like a title. Even if it collapses, it won't affect my life. Then I want to visit your company. Why? Didn't you work there before we got married? Maybe it'll help me recover my memories. Good idea. Let's treat it as a little outdoor date. Once again, Nia was the one driving. As soon as the car started, John kept playing with her hand. Stop doing that. Why? It's cute, soft and small. Cut it out, we're not alone here. So it's okay if it's just the two of us? He whispered. I guess so. John glanced at Nia. I suddenly feel like tossing him out of the car. If you throw him out, who's going to drive? And besides, that could kill someone. By the way, what's up with Mr. Nia? He's separated from his wife. Maybe he's just jealous of how good we are together. Nia sighed. Idiot. You really only spout nonsense. John shot back. And you can't even figure out an idiot's brain. The two started bickering again. Wait a second, were these two really boss and subordinate? The company was much larger than she had imagined. Mr. John, do you really not have to show up for work? Don't you need to look after your employees? I can work from home. Besides, the only one I need to look after in this entire universe is you. Here we are. This is my office. To her surprise, there was a bed inside. She couldn't remember much else, but this she recalled with perfect clarity. Well, no wonder, it had been used many times. No way, before losing her memory had they really, here. While everyone else was working themselves to death. This guy actually, she glared at him furiously. Her husband suddenly shifted the subject. This was where you used to rest whenever you were tired, wasn't it? There he went again. Darling, why are you looking at me with such a burning gaze? She couldn't take it anymore. Time for payback. Smiling, the girl patted the bed. Mr. John, could you come over here for a second? The moment he sat down, she pushed him down flat. But his total compliance only made her one flustered. Especially when he looked up at her with eager eyes and asked, "What are you planning to do?" She scrambled back up awkwardly. I thought, maybe this would help me recover my memories. He looked disappointed. So, did you remember anything? When she shook her head, John suggested, then how about visiting your old work team? Unfortunately, forget about memories, she felt nothing for this place at all. As if she were stepping in for the very first time. What exactly is your relationship with Mr. Nia? Nothing much. But you two talk way too casually. That's because we've known each other a long time. He's rude, sure, but reliable. If I had to define him, he's like a loyal dog. The girl was stunned. How could anyone describe a person as a dog? I didn't come up with it. Other people call him that too. As he said this, her husband began drying her hair, his touch so gentle it tickled. Do you really need to be that careful? Of course, even your hair is delicate. What nonsense are you talking about? Anyway, stop calling people dogs. Even when scolded, his voice stayed cheerful. All right, anything you dislike I won't do. Then a soft kiss landed on her cheek. Almost forgot, today's good morning kiss. The sudden gesture left her both startled and flustered. This man was way too straightforward. Late at night, she plunged into a bizarre dreamscape, where colossal beasts loomed all around her. They stared in utter silence, their gaze so heavy it felt like it was crushing the air from her lungs. Is this a dream? She forced herself to speak. Do you have something to say to me? A deep voice rumbled. We're only here to take a look. More precisely, to sneak a peek. If he finds out, we'll end up like that thing. To turn the progenitor of the deep ones into such a state, truly worthy of the master of all. She had no idea what they were talking about. Whatever, it's just a dream. She thought that I'll wake up soon. Still, being stared at like this was unbearable. If there's nothing else, may I leave? A beast resembling a massive elephant suddenly growled in warning. Watch your tongue, fragile human. If you anger him, not even I can guarantee your resurrection. When she opened her eyes again, dawn was already breaking. It felt as if every bit of her energy had been drained away. She barely made it out of her room before collapsing onto the floor. Was this some lingering after effect of the accident? What's wrong, darling? My head hurts. Can you get me some painkillers? John quickly returned with the medicine. She thanked him and swallowed it down. When he learned it was from a nightmare, he suddenly placed his hand against her forehead. What are you doing? She asked, but strangely, the pain began to ebb away little by little. Weird. The moment you touch me, it doesn't hurt as much. He tilted his head, amusement in his voice. Yes, did I just absorbed your pain? She chuckled. What are you, a vacuum cleaner? Correct. Please add high performance in front, he replied with mock seriousness. She stretched a little, feeling truly alive again. So, does this make me a good husband now? Just as she answered, of course, John's face suddenly returned to normal, only to dissolve into a cloud of black mist the next instant. From your expression, it seems like my head looks rather amusing right now. She hesitated, unsure how to describe it. Your head looks like a mass of smoke. Is that so, and does it scare you? She wasn't afraid. This was the man who eased her headaches and guided her search for memories, who dried her hair so gently he feared hurting her, who cooked for her every day. She simply couldn't find a reason to be afraid of him. Then, can you kiss me? Seeing her startled look, he explained, Isn't that how people usually decide if they can be with someone? She took a deep breath and reached into the black mist. Though she couldn't see, she could feel the softness of skin. From that alone, kissing was definitely possible. And truthfully, she did have feelings for John. The only problem, this might be her very first kiss. Stop overthinking, she could do this. Rising on tiptoe, she pressed a soft kiss onto him. Is that enough proof? But suddenly, his arm slipped around her waist. Not enough. That alone doesn't count as a kiss. Before she could react, another kiss fell on her lips. It felt strange. John's kiss was gentle, not forceful at all. Yet it made her feel like her whole body was floating. Only when she was about to collapse did he finally let go. John smiled lightly. Just from that, and even your neck is flushed red. Gasping slightly, she shot back. Mr. John, you're the one. You looked like you were about to explode. Just how much do you like me? At her words, the black mist shifted into a soft pink. You mean me? Yes. You look like you're about to melt. Alright, but let's be clear. You're the one who said you wanted to kiss. Yet I was the one who moved. You didn't do anything. She argued. That's not true. I leaned in first. That hardly counts as a kiss. But you're just too cute that I'll forgive you this time. Besides, this is fun. Let's leave it at that for today. That night, the girl had a strange dream. In it, her husband had taken on yet another form, surrounded by a warmth that seemed to wrap around her. The sensation was so vivid that even when she woke, she still felt dazed, yet oddly good. Good morning, darling. Did you sleep well? Came the familiar voice from above. Only then did she realize she was clinging to her husband. She bolted upright, cheeks burning. She was going crazy. No, wait. More importantly, what were those hazy touches in her dream? How could she have such an embarrassingly intimate dream? While she wrestled with her thoughts, he was already waiting expectantly. Where's my good morning kiss? I've been waiting all this time. Not yet, let me wash up first. She dashed into the bathroom and slammed the door shut. Soon the sound of running water echoed inside. When she came back, John grinned. Now are you ready? She drew a deep breath as if bracing for something monumental. I'm ready. Propping himself on the bed, John teased. Darling, I keep wondering, will you only let me kiss you after you've washed up? She froze. I guess so. Then what if we're eating out and I suddenly want to kiss you? Absolutely not. He couldn't hold back a laugh. Alright, if we keep talking, we'll ruin the mood. Sitting up, he turned toward her, braced himself on one arm and slowly leaned in. With his left hand, he brushed aside the strands of hair on her cheek, tilting his head as he closed the distance. Unlike yesterday, this time it wasn't just a simple kiss. He had to admit, the feeling was incredible. I think, maybe I like this. No, you clearly love it. John's head once again burst into dazzling fireworks. The girl laughed. Wasn't he the same way? From the day she admitted she liked him, John had always found excuses to get close. Their relationship advanced by leaps and bounds. And from that moment on, she even started caring about what she wore. Staring at a drawer full of brightly colored personal items, she couldn't help but wonder, had she once been an ambitious woman who used things like this to catch the eye of a young entrepreneur? Darling, what are you doing? She quickly shoved away a scrap of cloth that barely covered anything. Nothing, just some trash I was about to throw out. I'll toss it for you. No need, I'll do it myself. Propping his chin on his hand, he said playfully, if you're throwing it away, that means you're giving up ownership, right? Then hand it over to me. Panicked, she shook her head. No, that's not what I meant. In the next instant, he snatched it away. Oh, so it's this. She lunged to grab it back. Give it back to me. John raised his arm high, far out of her reach. Her foot slipped and she toppled backward. John caught her just in time. Are you all right? Blushing, she snapped. If you hadn't teased me, this wouldn't have happened. But you're just too adorable. I can't help it. When you see a cute puppy or doll, don't you feel like playing with it more? She protested. I'm not a dog and I'm not a doll. True that you're even cuter than both. John suddenly pulled her into his arms, his voice soft. Then be a little considerate that I'm already holding back. At first, when John suggested going out for some fresh air, Lai was happy. But she hadn't expected that strange secretary to tag along again. Sensing her discomfort, her husband spoke up. Just so you know, I didn't call him that, he came on his own. If you don't like it, I'll just throw him out. Seriously, while he's driving? Well, he disturbed us, so he deserves some payback. Their words drifted into Nia's ears and he couldn't help but respond. Even on a date you're still this harsh? John's tone suddenly turned serious. But this is my first time. My very first. Lai looked puzzled. Quietly she pulled out her phone and snapped a picture of her husband. In the photo, it was still that handsome face. Sadly, this was the only way she could see his true appearance. John suddenly leaned closer. If you're going to take a picture, at least tell me first, so I can pose and look even better. As if that's necessary, she thought. Was this man humble bragging? He was already ridiculously handsome. How could he possibly look better? John suddenly placed a hand on her shoulder. Darling, look outside. Following his words, she turned her gaze to the window. The scene before her had completely transformed. It had been so long since she'd seen something so breathtaking. Yet the man behind her never stopped staring at her, heating the entire car with his gaze. Just then, a figure by the roadside caught her attention. Seeing her glance back, her husband asked, "What is it, sweetheart?" She instinctively replied, "Nothing." Soon they arrived at their destination. Nia stepped out of the car to see them off. Lai noticed a ring on his hand. Catching her gaze, Nia smiled. "This is a truncated octahedron. Want to take a look?" It was the first time he had spoken to her so kindly. Was he just eager to show off? Nia lifted his hand. "If you look toward the center, you might see something interesting." She knew little about jewelry but still followed his words and peered closer. The ring was jet black, yet inside flickered a faint red glow. There was a shadowy depth in Nia's eyes. Just as she leaned in to see more clearly, a large hand suddenly covered the ring. "Nothing worth seeing," John's voice cut in. Nia pulled his hand back, his tone edged with reluctance. "Aren't you curious?" John ignored the secretary, instead turning to her. "Darling, do you want another floor mat? Why bring that up now? So you'll have a new one to step on when you're bored of the old." Nia's face darkened instantly. John corrected himself. "On second thought, the warehouse already has plenty of mats. Something else might work." She nodded. "Then forget mats. How about a sandbag?" Nia flared up. "No, you wouldn't enjoy something so violent. Just looking at your face, anyone can tell you're a pacifist." "Actually, I'm not exactly a pacifist," Lai said calmly. Nia grew more anxious, leaning close to the girl and whispering, "Listen to me. Your answer directly decides whether a life will be spared or lost." Then the three of them stepped into the elevator together. Nia brushed it off as just a casual greeting, but John countered, "Even if I don't care, you shouldn't treat me like a joke." Meanwhile, the girl's thoughts spun. "That thing I saw from the car. I'm sure it was." Suddenly, John's gentle voice called out to her, snapping her back to the present. "Darling, it's time to go." Later, in the restroom, she was still piecing things together. She clearly remembered seeing a man in his 50s, balding with a paunch. That man was without a doubt the CEO of her former company. But if what John said was true, then that little company existed only in her mind? Meaning it was nothing more than a false memory, created by the brain damage from her accident. The CEO couldn't possibly exist. But was it really just coincidence? That someone identical to a man she had imagined could also exist in reality? But it wasn't just his appearance. The clothes he wore were identical too. Even the way he rubbed his stomach like a man heavily pregnant. The more she thought about it, the more that man resembled the one she had seen in the city, the very same as the CEO in her memories. Her recollections of that company were painfully vivid, down to the faces of her colleagues. How could all of that be fake? Maybe it wasn't fabricated at all. Then what about her husband? What if the man outside had been lying to her all along? When she stepped out of the restroom, John suddenly asked, "What were you thinking about?" The unexpected question jolted her. He added, "Whenever you think about someone, you always hide away in the bathroom." Her heart sank that he even knows that. This can't possibly be a normal relationship. Because there was no way she could have ever told him that. Instead, she forced a casual excuse, saying she had only been looking in the mirror. "There are plenty of mirrors outside. But the bathroom mirror makes me look the prettiest." When he softly replied, "Ha," a chill of fear ran through her. She trembled and shouted, "Don't do that. I hate it, don't say that." Terrified, she crouched down, her mind reeling. Why Why is this happening on Earth? Do I really get goosebumps over a single word? Seeing her reaction, he tensed. Okay, I understand that I told you I wouldn't do anything you hate, so don't be afraid. He opened his arms. Come here. Even wrapped in John's embrace, listening to his soft reassurances, she couldn't stop trembling. After a while, her nerves finally eased. She realized he was soothing her the way one might calm a skittish pet. Why didn't you come find me? Because I wanted you to come to me on your own. She sighed. So he really does like everything about me. What a strange man. Still, the warmth of his body wasn't so bad. That night, she logged into the civil registry online and looked up their marriage certificate. Then a troubling thought. Right, since he's listed as my legal representative, he could sign the hospital consent forms. All the paperwork checked out. I'm probably just overthinking. She told herself to let it go. People say there are at least 3 lookalikes in the world. So why couldn't there be someone who looks exactly like the fictional person from her memories? On second thought, a pang of sorrow hit her for John too. Maybe he's hurting as well. She had always doubted him, guarded against him, and lost her temper too easily. Yet John never got angry, he always comforted her instead. Thinking of that, the girl suddenly wanted to see him. So she began searching the house, room by room. But whether it was the bedroom, the dining room, or the living room, he was nowhere to be found. Finally, she reached a room she had never entered before. The atmosphere inside was entirely different. On the wall hung a strange clock. Its face bore no numbers, only bizarre, symbolic letters. And aside from the hour, minute, and second hands, there was yet another unknown hand. Suddenly, the clock's door clicked open. Peering inside, she saw a single book resting there. Black book. She wondered how to translate it. The Book of Darkness. The Tome of Shadows? Just then, John's voice came from behind her. Darling? She jolted in fright. You're here? John said. I never thought you'd stumble upon it. I thought I'd taken precautions to prevent this from happening. The girl sighed inwardly. Not fair. The door opened on its own. She quickly apologized. I'm sorry. It just caught my attention, so I opened it. I won't go near it again. But John shook his head. No, it was my carelessness. I know you're special, but I didn't expect you to be able to ignore something like that. She blinked. Ignore? What do you mean? Wait. Is he hinting that I crossed into his privacy? The next moment, John suddenly asked if she wanted to watch a movie together. She thought with relief, at least he doesn't seem angry. But the thought of watching a movie only reminded her of last time, how his kiss had left her dizzy. So she suggested, why not do something else instead? Something that makes us focus more on each other. Focus on me, huh? This is the first time you've said that. It feels good. But the one you saw wasn't me. Doesn't that unsettle you? Can you really look at me and feel fine? In her heart, she admitted. He still doesn't see himself as fully human. There's something beyond humanity in him. Almost like an unknown being. But the more she looked at him, the more she grew used to his presence. Lately, she could even feel his gaze on her, as if their unspoken intimacy was steadily deepening. Smiling, she told him she wanted to see him. She suggested, instead of a movie, why don't we ask each other things we're curious about? Sounds good. John felt the air had grown chilly, so he wrapped her in a blanket. Then came his very first question. Why were you looking at your underwear just now? The bluntness of it made her collapse in embarrassment. Ignoring her flustered state, he pressed on. You've started paying attention to your lingerie, haven't you? Am I right? At that moment, the girl completely regretted suggesting this game. She thought, I'd rather take a punch than endure this kind of mental assault. Yet John only held her hand and murmured, there's nowhere I could ever strike you. You're too fragile. I should be protecting you. After struggling, she whispered, I'll try to become someone who can put you at ease. Hearing that, his mood skyrocketed. Then it was her turn to ask. Slipping into reporter mode, she asked seriously, what was it at the very beginning that made you interested in me? Because you were the only one who saw me differently. Back in school, everyone else only saw the version of me I intended them to see. But you were different. What does that even mean? Back then, he hid behind a carefully crafted facade, and she alone had seen through it. From that moment on, his interest in her had begun. So that's all it took? John leaned in. Now it's my turn, isn't it? Should I prepare condoms for tonight? After a brief silence, the girl's face flushed crimson.